Hello. So I had promised everyone a couple of days ago that I would do a video talking about how to overcome stress and anxiety, and that is what today's video is going to be about. So on the weekend, I had the opportunity to attend the Newfoundland Wellness Expo, and I listened to a speaker named Jeremy Bennett. He's a Canadian author. He's authored 2 books talking about how to overcome stress and anxiety. One of the books is called The Power of the Mind, How I Beat OCD. And his other book, his new book, is called The Solution, Learn How to Truly Beat Stress and Anxiety. So I found this, it was probably one of the most valuable seminars that I have ever attended as someone I have depression and anxiety, so this was something that I found extremely valuable, and I am so excited to share these tips with you today. So basically what I'll be doing is summarizing some of the most valuable content that I took away from the seminar. I really would encourage you to check out both of these books as well. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. So hopefully you find something today that you can take away from this, something that you can learn and apply to your own life or share with somebody else. So here we go. So first of all, you attract what you think of the most. So whether your thoughts are negative or whether your thoughts are positive, you are going to attract that and bring that to your own life. And the basic premise of what Jeremy discusses and how he talks about stress and anxiety is that stress and anxiety are caused by negative thoughts. So when you have negative thoughts, that leads to stress. Stress leads to the release of cortisol, and cortisol is known as the stress hormone, and cortisol causes anxiety. So it all circles back to those negative thoughts. So the whole goal, the whole purpose of what he talks about is to overcome stress and anxiety by controlling those negative thoughts or eliminating those negative thoughts. So one of the first things that he really stresses is that we need to understand and recognize that stress and anxiety aren't a bad thing inherently. Our society today, we really always look at stress and anxiety as negative things, but they're not bad things. It's your body's way, your brain's way of saying to you, hey, something's wrong, something needs to change. It's no different than when your hand goes on a hot burner. Your brain signals your hand that, hey, something's wrong here, you need to move your hand, otherwise you're going to do permanent damage. It's the same thing with stress and anxiety. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, something's wrong, something needs to change. That's why you feel anxiety and you feel stress, because it's your body saying to you, hey, something needs to happen, something needs to change. So we need to stop hating stress and anxiety. When we recognize that it's not a bad thing, it's our body's way of trying to help us, then that allows us to kind of step forward a little bit. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Stress and anxiety are not bad things. You have to stop hating them. They're actually good for you and they will help you. So a couple of the highlights here. So first of all, he talks about how we need to build resiliency. And a lot of times when we suffer from stress and anxiety or depression, one of the first things we do is we start to self-medicate. So whether it's through drugs or alcohol or overeating, that sort of thing. And when we are numbing those external stressors through drugs and alcohol and eating, we're preventing ourselves from building resilience. So if you're numbing those outside stressors, then you're not giving your body a chance to actually deal with the stress. It's like you're masking it, you're hiding it, and that's not ever going to deal with the actual issue. So first of all, he talks about if you suffer from depression, anxiety, stress, anything like that, you should avoid things like drugs and alcohol. He also talks about how we need to start to expose ourselves a little bit to those things that do cause us stress and anxiety. So this is actually how he talked about how he overcame his OCD. When he suffered from OCD for about 6 or 7 years undiagnosed when he was very young, like middle school, high school age. And he kind of recognized that he had to allow himself to feel that stress, to feel that anxiety in order for him to ever overcome it. So if you can be in the presence of that trigger and then learn to calm yourself and just calm your mind while you're in the midst of that trigger, then that's going to actually help you to overcome that stressor as well. So this is basically through retraining your brain. So with neuroplasticity, you're retriggering and rewiring how your brain works and how your brain feels about a certain stressor or in that environment. Another thing, which to me is so important, and is something that actually since I became a coach about a year ago, it's something that I have really tried to do in my life, and that is surround yourself with positivity. So whatever or whoever you're in the presence of, will affect your energy. So from the people we spend time with, to the books we read, to the TV shows we watch, the video games we play, the music we listen to, the colleagues we work with, all of this affects us. So if you're surrounded by a lot of negativity, so, if you're listening to music with a lot of violence in it, or just, there's one song, I think the example he gave was Lady Gaga, Bad Romance. It talks about how, I want your bad romance, and just the words that are used in the song have such negative connotations. So, that's you're listening to those, and those words are coming into your mind and into your body, and that's really affecting you whether you think it or not. Same with, the TV shows we watch, lots of violence and video games, and just everything in the world today is so full of negativity and violence. So when you are being exposed to that, it's changing who you are, and it's changing the thoughts that you have, whether you are aware of it or not. Same with the people that you surround yourself with. So I personally, if someone is a negative person, then I find it's healthier for me to stay away from them. So that's just a choice that I've made in my own life. And he also talks about how, other people's problems need to stay other people's problems. It's, even if you have, a family member or a friend who has a situation, the more that you hear about and try to talk about or deal with that negative situation for them, that's bringing more negativity into your own life. So you need to surround yourself with positive things, whether it's the music you listen to, the people you spend time with, TV shows, books, whatever it is, you need to surround yourself with positivity. Kind of along that same train of thought is the words that you use and the words that are in your life. So 90% of our thoughts are the same every day. And the majority of those thoughts are made up of things that we think about from the past, or things that we think about with regards to the future. And most of those things that we think about in the past are things we dwell on that are negative things or bad things. So we tend to replay scenarios that happened, bad things. And in terms of the future, we tend to stress about the future, and we think about those negative what ifs, we worry. So those are all negative thoughts, negative words, and negative energy that we bring into our lives. And words hold vibrations that change our physiology. So for example, if you think of the word cancer, your probably gut reaction was just to cringe a little bit and to feel icky, and just to, the mood comes down. And then you think of the word puppy, and you can't help but smile and feel happy. That's because these words have the power to change our physical makeup. It changes how we feel and how we think. So if you're having a lot of negative words, negative thoughts in your life, that's going to inherently change how you feel and how you think. So you need to try to have more positive words and positive things surrounding you. So an example, a way that you can change this, a simple thing that we do that we don't even recognize. When someone says to you, "How are you?" You say, "Oh, I'm not bad." We're actually saying the word bad, which is a word that has negative connotations. So instead of using a word like that, we say, "Oh, I'm really good." And you can't help but just, you feel better when you say things like that. So we need to start doing affirmations. So affirmations are just kind of positive I am statements. So for example, whatever you say, so I am, and whatever follows that sentence is going to be believed by your brain. So if you want to start changing the way that you think and start thinking more positively, use I am affirmation statements. So that could be, I am smart, I am healthy, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am happy, I am friendly, whatever it is. The more you say this, we train our brains to believe it. So affirmations are an amazing thing to start doing. So I encourage you guys to write out I am statements, and keep them around your house, keep them in places you're going to see them, because the more you see it, the more you say it, the more you're going to actually start to believe it. And same with visualization. Visualization is a great tool for positivity. So you want to visualize something as if it's already happened. So if you are trying to get your dream job, you need to visualize that you are already in your dream job, that you are already there working it. And the more that you visualize that positive scenario as though it's already happened, the more likely it is that it will happen, because you're going to start to manifest that as a positive person. Another thing he talked about is the importance of meditation. Now, meditation is something that I was always kind of scared to do because I'm not the type of person who's very good at just sitting and being with my thoughts. Although I like to be alone, but I'm not good at just kind of shutting my brain down. And he talked about meditation in a way that I had never thought about it before, in a way that I actually feel like, oh, that sounds really cool and easier to do than I thought. So what that is just easier said than done, but meditation is when you stop thinking. So you're not allowing those thoughts of the past or the future to sneak into your brain. You are just focusing on what you're doing at this moment. So for example, right now, as I'm doing this video and as I'm talking, I'm focusing on what I'm doing. So I don't have time to think about anything else. I don't have time to think about bad things from the past or worrisome things from the future. I am thinking about what I'm doing right now. So if you're able to be completely aware of what's happening right now in the present, if you can be aware, be mindful, then you're not going to have room for your brain to have those negative thoughts in it. So an example of this, if you're out for a walk, just focus on the rocks crunching beneath your feet. Or, if you're making dinner, think to yourself, okay, now I'm cutting up onions, I'm cutting up peppers, I'm, cooking chicken. If you're focusing on what's happening in the present moment, then your brain doesn't have time, it doesn't have room for those negative thoughts. And remember, so when we have those negative thoughts, that leads to stress, which releases cortisol, which leads to anxiety. So, and now exercise has the opposite effect. Exercise releases endorphins, which is the exact opposite of cortisol. So that's those good feelings that we get. So exercise is a phenomenal way to reduce stress and anxiety. Same as your body composition, how you physically hold yourself. When you hold yourself, I'm actually really bad at this. When you hold yourself up properly, that also releases endorphins, which is going to make you feel better. He also talked about how laughing releases endorphins, and even smiling, even a fake smile. If you're not feeling good and you post a fake smile on your face, it's going to still release endorphins, which is then going to make you actually feel better. So my new life goal is to actually laugh every day like there's something wrong with me. He talked about how, just laughing and smiling reduce endorphins, and every day I want to feel that release of endorphins. So my goal is to laugh every day like I'm a little bit off. Another thing that can help with stress and anxiety is how we breathe. So people who are chronically stressed and have chronic anxiety, we are also chronic shallow breathers. So the less oxygen that we get, that's also going to affect our bodies and affect, that release of cortisol. So we should be breathing like children. If you've ever watched a baby breathe, their bellies are just going in and out because they breathe from their diaphragms, which is how we're supposed to breathe. So you should not see your chest lifting like that. You should be breathing from your belly like that. You should be breathing from your diaphragm. So try to take 10 deep breaths, and this is why I love yoga. Yoga is so good for practicing your mindful breathing as well. So breathe deeply. So another thing, I'm getting to the end here. Similar to the idea of meditation, he talked about being curious, because when you are, looking something over and just examining every orifice of it, you don't have time for your brain to be wandering and thinking about things that are from the past or in the future. And so finally, the last strategy is to try to catch those negative thoughts as they're happening. So it's literally impossible to think negative thoughts when you are being aware of your thoughts. So again, it's the same as kind of being present and being mindful. Those negative thoughts are coming from your subconscious. So if you become conscious of your thoughts, then you will not be able to have negative thoughts. Just try it. So again, the basic goal here is to be living in the present and to be mindful. If that becomes your predominant state, then you're no longer going to have those negative thoughts, which means you're no longer going to feel stressed. You will no longer be releasing cortisol, and you will no longer feel anxiety. So it all circles back to those negative thoughts, which are the cause of our stress and anxiety. So if you can use these strategies to overcome those negative thoughts, then the idea is that you will no longer feel stress and anxiety. So I hope this was valuable for you guys. If you have any questions or you want me to explain anything further, then I would love your feedback. Feel free to share this. If you want to, send me a message and we can talk more about it, I would love that as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys taking your time to just listen to what I had to say and allow me to share this information with you. So thanks again, guys, and I'll be talking to you soon.